G'day guys, Marcus here, searching for adventure. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode. And in this one, as the thumbnail probably gave it away, I've got the 200 series Landcruiser here behind me, and I'm going to give a bit of a review on all the modifications that I put onto the 200. If you have been watching the channel, you would have noticed about 2.5, 3 years ago, I bolted on a whole heap of stuff, mainly through TJM, but I've also added a few extra things myself as well over the course of the time. So in this video, I'm going to run through all the mods and kind of let you guys know what's worked, what hasn't worked, would I do anything different, and did anything break. So anyway, let's get straight into it. Let's start right at the front of the 200. The bull bar, has it let me down? Well, I can tell you I've hit about 3 or 4 kangaroos. Haven't had any issues with the bull bar whatsoever. Hasn't rattled loose, no loose bolts, all those sorts of things. So bull bar is working a treat. Obviously underneath I had the TJM winch fitted here as well. I've only had to use the winch once. It worked perfectly fine. It was on the old tally track up at Cape York, and it's the only time I've had to use the winch. Hasn't failed. As we come around here, the hardcore driving lights, these things are amazing. What I will say is though, with these big driving lights, guys, is that when you are on a main road and you do see signs, they do illuminate those signs really bright. Sometimes I've found doing early mornings or late nights, I'm dimming down when there's lots of signs because it is a little bit too reflective. None of the bolts have come loose. Again, thousands of Ks of corrugations. One item that has come loose through corrugations is my aerial here, and I did opt for the GME XRS combo pack. I think it was called the Outback pack, and the Outback pack basically it's got a stronger whip and it's got a stronger base, and it's kind of built a bit tougher for a lot of these more rugged sort of outback roads and corrugation. It was just this little grub screw that had rattled loose, popped out a little bit, then this top part came out. So apart from that, with all those corrugations and Ks that I've done, that's the only thing that rattled loose. Now I should admit that I never checked that. We had, you know, done Cape York and a couple of other trips, and I'd never checked it, so probably wise to just check those little screws and bolts after each trip. This here is obviously just the 2.1 dBi aerial, and I've had a lot of people say, Marcus, you're doing outback touring, how come you're not using your larger aerial? Because I did get the Outback pack. It came with 2 aerials. I think it's a 6 dBi. The short of it is that I'm traveling in a convoy, usually with just cousin Mick. He's 500 meters behind me or in front of me. I just simply don't need that range. This range here, I'm getting up to 5 kilometers with this little 2.1 dBi. So anyway, I've got the 6 dBi there if I want to use it. Up the front, the snorkel, the Safari snorkel, no issues with this. This was on the vehicle when I purchased it. Wasn't one of the mods that I had put on, but yeah, look, obviously doing a whole heap of water crossings, you're going to need that snorkel, and certainly when we did Cape York and the old tally track in particular. So obviously under the bonnet, guys, completely stock standard, nothing done to the motor at all. These are the diff breathers. I did do a video on these. They haven't let me down. Nothing's gone wrong with these. Perth diesel performance, as you can see there. Couple of circuit breakers going on here. That probably is maybe for the winch. Right here, guys, is the isolator switch for the winch, so I can have that turned off. There's also another circuit breaker that's hidden down here, and that is for my Gray Anderson plug, the back of the car, for charging my van. I did have to get a new battery, guys, coming out of the Simpson Desert. My battery went dead, and so I have got a new battery in there. It is just a supercharged 810 cranking amps battery, so that was replaced. Just trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, a real big one. This is probably a pretty big one to mention. I had the injector problems in the 200. So obviously that had nothing to do with the modifications on the car. But if you want to go back and watch that video, I did a video on the injectors that went here on the Landcruiser 200. Quite a common problem, and I won't go into depth about it, but I have got all new injectors put in here to the motor. So, but that's not really a modification issue. So under the bonnet, that's about it. If you're wondering what this little guy is here, this here is for when I'm doing the Simpson Desert or any sand dune driving, and that's where I clip on my sand flag for a bit of added safety. And you actually do need a sand flag when you're traveling in the Simpson Desert. So I just leave that there on that bracket full time. All the sensors still work fine. The LED built-in lights here, all working fine. As I said, 3 or 4 kangaroo hits, but no real dents on the bull bar whatsoever. But by and large, guys, no real major problems here. The front end of the 200. As I just mentioned, about 70,000 Ks since all these mods, and countless trips. You know, there's been 2 Simpson Deserts, there's been obviously Cape York, Fraser Island, Moreton Island, and a whole heap of other trips as well that I just can't think of at the moment. Anyway, as we move along, we might just have a look up on the roof. Now, these little Rhino rack shovel holders have just been absolutely fantastic. So I added these a little later, and you can lock your shovel in here. They're friggin' awesome. I keep a shovel here, and up the back here I keep my axe. I've got the 100-watt solar panel. This again has not let me down. I've had no issues with it, and I've even when we've traveled over thousands of corrugations, I've had my Oztent RV3 running along here. I've had mixed swag on top of this. Admittedly, I've been putting a drop sheet down. So, but what I'm trying to say is, it's, you know, it's had a bit of stuff on top of it, and it still performs. Needs a bit of a clean at the moment, but it's putting charge in the battery. We'll have a look at the battery shortly. Also up here, I've got tons of these little tie down points that I do change. At the moment, I have got my Max Tracks just sitting up here reasonably permanently because I can't be bothered taking them down. But in terms of the mods on top of the roof here, nothing has gone wrong. Just up in here, you can see the wiring for the solar panel. Nothing's come loose, nothing's not working, no issues whatsoever. Got to mention, guys, when I did the review, the 30-second awning that I've got on the car hasn't missed a beat, guys. No bolts have come loose, hasn't rattled from the brackets on the Rhino roof rack. And look, I did do a review on the 30-second awning, but it's simple to bloody put up, and obviously provides a whole ton of shade. Used it in up at Cape York, out in the middle of the Simpson Desert, on the beach, and yeah, no problems at all with the 30-second awning. Light force lights, I have 2 of them, one here, part of the mods that I had done. Again, nothing has gone wrong with these lights, working perfectly fine. All the wiring is still Mickey Mouse, no issues whatsoever. And as I said, I've got those 2 lights there switched around the back. I'll show you in a minute. Also with the solar screens here, guys, is they obviously do block out a lot of that warm, hot sun, keep it a little cooler inside. And they're not the cheapest ones on the market, and I did do a video on the solar screen install. Pretty straightforward, but I have found that, you know, once every couple of months I am having to sort of put a bit of spit on these, make sure they stick down. The other mods that I had done to the car were new rims. So these are the ROH Vapor, I think they are. Haven't had an issue with them, guys. They look awesome. Quite a few scratches going on here, obviously, from the travels that I've been doing. In terms of tyres, at the moment I have Cooper AT3 285 65 17-inch rims, and about a year ago I actually got 3 flat tyres. So when I go back and watch that video, yeah, it was an interesting trip. I did have the Falcon Wild Peak all-terrains, and I just think I was unlucky getting 3 slashed tyres on the sidewall. Make our way around to the back, and I've had a lot of people ask me why you're carrying 2 spares. As I just mentioned, well, I got 3 flat tyres there doing the big desert in Victoria about a year ago. So look, around town, is it a pain? Absolutely, it is a pain. This is my daily driver, and it is a bit of a bugger when you're running to Woolies and want to throw something in the back. What I will say is though, guys, is that I don't really open the back that often if I'm not traveling out and about. So obviously I went and put on the Raslar rear bar with the dual wheel carrier for those extended desert trips. One of the negatives of this, it has added a lot of weight to the rear axle, which now that I'm towing a caravan is causing a little bit of concern of the weight that I can have over this rear axle. But just in terms of accessibility, having to access a tyre to change, I absolutely friggin' love having the tyres here on the back. Really easy to get the tyre off. That's awesome. Obviously in this one here, I've got my bin bag, and yeah, that speaks for itself. Bin bag's just fantastic. Everything's working fine. The reversing camera is working perfectly now that I've got the caravan. Obviously here I've got the DO35 hitchy thing, and this does have rated recovery points. The lights are still working fine here. The gas struts are still working fine. I have got a few scars, a few battle scars you can see here. So once these are open, and if you're just touring, nice and easy to get into the back of the car. I'll just open this up now. Again, no issue with any of the wiring, nothing's come loose here. What I will say is that I did lose one of these bolts going here, and again, it was on the Simpson Desert, on the Hay River track, that I did lose a bolt. That is my fault. When I had these installed, the Raslar rear bar, I had it shipped up to Queensland, had one of my local guys install this. He did say to me, get some Loctite on these when you sort of work out where you want to put them. Since then, I've put some Loctite on both of these and have not had an issue, and have since done thousands of more Ks on corrugation. So Raslar rear bar as a whole, big thumbs up from me. Yeah, no dramas, no problems, no issues, apart from, yeah, getting a little bit of Loctite on those bolts. So just down the back, nothing's failed down here. Standard 12 pin for towing. I've got a red Addison and a grey. Grey's obviously now for my caravan putting charge. The red you can use for whatever. I have that there. Underneath, one of the mods was the Long Ranger fuel tank. So that's added a whole extra amount of fuel that I can carry. But in terms of how it has performed, no issues whatsoever. Where it's bolted on there, no problems, no holes, no leaks, no problems at all. And on those bigger trips, it is giving me 275 litres of fuel. So the Long Ranger steel tank, beautiful. The other mod that I had done is I installed airbags. So after buying the first caravan, I realised pretty quickly that I needed to get some airbags in the rear of this car. So they've worked a treat, haven't caused me any issues or problems. Airbag man, and I've got the high pressure kit, which allows me to go up to 60 PSI. To give you an idea what I run when I'm towing my new van that I have now, I just put in 20 PSI, keeps the van nice and level. Haven't had an issue with the Airbag man airbags here in the car. So around the back here, the back drawer setup, I've been 100% happy with the configuration that I chose to get, which obviously was the single drawer with the smaller drawer under the fridge slide. There is space in the side here. Everything has not faulted. Nothing is faulted here whatsoever. So in terms of the drawer slides, everything is still sliding perfectly fine after, as I said, about 70,000 Ks, heaps of corrugations, no problems whatsoever. Inside the panel here, my twin ARB air compressor, has not faltered once, and it has done obviously a lot of work, whether it be in the Flinders Ranges, the Simpson Desert, the old tally track, the top end, Vic High Country, doesn't matter where, it's always worked. So pretty happy with that, so no real issue. As you can see, there is a little bit of dust that does get in here. No dust getting in here whatsoever, but a little bit of dust getting in this little side pocket, and I do have obviously space right up the end there. But just in terms of the craftsmanship of this product, it has lasted very, very well. Got the outlet there for the air compressor, the switch for the air compressor here. I have a spare switch, and I've got the switch here for the lights. Nothing's gone wrong with the switches for the lights also. The shroud around the fridge has worked perfectly. At the moment, I've just got my airing down equipment sitting up here. Normally I've got other different types of camping equipment, but what I will say is completely happy with this setup, having the fridge and then having that available real estate up on top. In the side here, nothing really to talk about, plenty of storage, nothing's gone wrong. This opens up, keep my jack in there and bits and pieces I don't need. The fridge slide hasn't faltered whatsoever. Fridge is, you know, reasonably heavy. That is full at the moment with some beer and some Coke and some drinks and whatnot, but I've had no issues with the slide or any of these little mechanisms or parts. So just got that tied down there. Just in the back, I've had no issues with the little bit of dust there, but no issues whatsoever with the 125 amp hour Enerdrive B-Tech battery at all. Sits nicely in behind there, hasn't rattled loose, and again, no real issues. A little bit of dust in here, absolutely no problems with the battery there at all. I do make a habit, especially on rough roads, is I lock that, keeps that locked in place. As we come along, the Enerdrive E Pro Plus battery monitor. As you can see, that's flickering to the right, which means it's putting in charge. And it's putting in just a bit over 3 amps from those solar panels on the roof. Fridge is switched on at the moment, but the compressor's not on. So the panels are quite dirty. 100-watt solar panel, and I'm getting 3. So sometimes I do get up to about 5 amps coming in with good sun and the clean panels. But again, I've had not one single issue with this device, and I do like how you can see the state of charge. I'm at 95%. I'm getting charge going in. Obviously when I'm driving, I've got the DC to DC charger there, which can put up to 40 amps, and I can just toggle through, and 13.4 volts, putting in 3.1 amps or so. This is the switch here. I haven't had any issues with this Enerdrive remote switch to turn on the inverter. That just switches the inverter on. I'll just quickly show you in a sec where the inverter is. That's great to have the remote switch, and I have it plugged in and use that here if I need to use the inverter. Cargo barrier, I have had a couple of bolts come loose up here and I've had to replace, but look, it's just a steel cargo barrier, nothing too much to report, has worked fine, no real major problems there. So just in behind the seats here, the 1000-watt inverter, I haven't had a single issue, guys, with this whatsoever. Enerdrive, it's a good product. That's where I plug it in, run the cable through, and then can use the remote switch, as I showed you just before, to turn that on. And here is the DC to DC, which I can put into up to 40 amps. I think I've got it set at 30 when I drive, and you can program that to put whatever you like, whether it's 5 amps or up to 40 and a bit more, I think, depending on the size of your battery. But in terms of the 12-volt system here, guys, nothing's failed me once at all. So pretty happy with the Enerdrive products, and yeah, nothing's come loose, so can't complain. Righto guys, that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed this video, a rundown 2.5 year review of all the mods on the car. Happy with everything, and I certainly hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Appreciate it. Hit subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.